Hello, welcome to Class 12 Business Studies, Chapter 8 Controlling Explanation, Part 2. So, in this explanations, the contents are given below. They are importance of controlling, limitations of controlling, and relationship between planning and controlling. Now, let us start with the importance of controlling. Under this, there are 6 points. 1. Accomplishing organizational goals. 2. Judging accuracy of standards. 3. Making efficient use of resources. 4. Improving improving employee motivations. 5. Ensuring order and discipline and facilitating coordination in actions. Now let us go in detail. Importance of controlling in details. Okay, so look at the book very carefully. It's written here, controlling is an indispensable functions of management. So without control, the best of the best plans can go away. So a good control system helps in organizations in the following ways. No matter how good your plans are, if there is no control, then there is a failure in the plans. So that is why controlling plays a very vital role in the management. So now let us go in detail. The first one is accomplishing organizational goals, or you can say which helps in achieving the goals. See, okay, so when the plans are made in the organizations, okay, so these are directed towards the achievement of organizational goal, and the controlling functions ensures that all the activities in the organizations takes place according to the plan. So, and if there is like any deviations, timely actions are taken to bring back those activities on the path of the plannings. So when all the activities are going according to the plan, then there is automatically this will direct towards the achievement of organizational goals. So if you have a proper planning, then there is always a chances of achieving its goal. So if there is no plan, if there is no control over the best plans, then there is a highly risk of losing the successful plan. So if you want to achieve success, obviously you need to go accordingly with a plan in a controlled manner. And the second is judging accuracy of standards. Judging accuracy of standards means like through strategic controlling, we can easily judge whether the standards or the targets sets are accurate or not. An accurate control system revises the standards from time to time. Excuse me, and time to match them with the environmental changes. So that is why a good judging control should enable the management to verify whether the standards are set accurate or not. So there must be a careful check on the changes that takes place in the organizations, in the environment as well, like environmental changes. And another one is making efficient use of resources. Making efficient use of resources means using of resources in an optimum manner makes a lot of differences. So you must always utilize the resources in a limited manner, because we need to think for the future uses as well. So like traffic signals, control guides the organizations and keep it on the right track. So each activities are performed according to the predetermined standards. So as a result, there is most and effective use of the resources. Mm, and another one is improving employees motivations. So let's see how does it motivates. So an effective control system communicates the goals and standards of appraisal for the employees to to subordinate well in advance. So a good control systems also guides the employees to come out from their problem. So these free communications and care motivates the employees to give a better performance. And the fifth one is ensuring orders and discipline. Means controlling obviously creates an environment or an atmosphere of order and discipline. If we don't control them, it's supposing the same like students. If students are not controlled by the teachers, then they might change their attitude, they may become naughty. If you don't control them, they'll go out of the track, and they tend to like and they stop behaving well with the elders. And same with the parents, how do they take care of their children, how they keep the children under the control so that they don't get spoiled. Same in the workplace as well. Control creates a kind of environment where orders and disciplines takes place in the organizations. So effective controlling system keeps the subordinates under check and make sure that they perform their functions effectively and efficiently without creating any problems. So sharp control can have a check over dishonesties, frauds, uh, duplicacy of the employees. So strict control monitors employees work on computer monitors, which brings more orders and discipline in the work environment. So that is why we should always be honest with our work. We should, if we are honest towards the work, then automatically it will give us the fruitful result. Clear? And another one is the sixth point, facilitates coordination in action. Means controlling, they help to maintain the equilibrium between the means and ends. So what does the controlling do is it makes sure that they show a proper directions, and proper steps are taken, and that various factors are maintained properly. So all the departments are controlled uh, to predetermined standards well, which as well which are well coordinated with one another. So control provides unity of directions, or you can say controlling ensures proper integrations between the various activities. Clear? So this was the explanations on the importance of controlling. And the next explanation is on the limitations of controlling. So there are 4 points. 1. Difficulty in setting quantitative standards. 2. Little control on external factors. 3. Resistance from employees. And 4th, costly affair. Now let us go in detail. So difficulty in setting quantitative standards means control system loses its effectiveness when standards of performance cannot be defined in a quantitative terms. So this makes comparison with standards a difficult task. Like for example, job satisfactions, cannot be measured like quantitatively. Like human behavior are such areas where these problems might arise on the job satisfactions, the employee moral, human behavior, etc. And another one is little control and external factors, means an enterprise cannot control the external factors like the government policies, competitions, uh, technological changes, etc. And third is resistance from employees, means control is resisted by the employees as they feel that their freedoms are restricted. Okay, like restricted from their freedom. For like example, employees may resist and go against the use of the cameras to observe them. uh, Fourth is costly. So control involves a lot of expenditure, whether it's time or an effort, because there are many small enterprises who cannot afford to install such an expensive control system. So that is why the managers, they must ensure that the cost of installing and operating a control system should not exceed the benefits derived from it. So it's written in the book very carefully. The box on control systems at FedEx gives an overview of the control system used by FedEx and how it helped FedEx to increase its profits. Now, the next explanation is on the relationship between planning and controlling. Now, listen to it very carefully, okay? Planning and controlling, they are totally inseparable twins of management. They cannot be separated. If there is planning and no control, then there is always a chances of losing its goal. And if we have a better control and you don't have a good planning, then also it will take a lot of like it'll be a lot of I mean to say there'll be a like no chances of achieving its goals. Okay, so that is why planning and controlling are totally inseparable. They cannot be separated and they are known as the twins of management. So the planning and controlling functions of management, they are closely linked together, or you can say are very closely related. So the relation between both the functions are explained. Okay, if we have to talk about the nature and concept of both the planning and controlling, then planning is actually the basic functions of every enterprises, that we know it very well. As in planning, we decide what is to be done, how it is to be done, and when it is to be done, and by whom it must be done. So the planning bridges, we have already discussed about this earlier. Maybe your teachers also must have told you about it. It bridges the gap between where we are standing today and where we want to reach in the future. And if we have to talk about the controlling, then the controlling means keeping a check, means to look after the everything in the accordance with the plan, and if there is any deviations, taking preventive measures to stop that deviations. So the meaning of controlling makes it very clear that the controlling functions are undertaken for the right and timely implementations of the plan. So that is why both planning and controlling go hand in hand. And if we have to talk about the planning and controlling are interdependent and interlinked. Why it is interdependent, interlinked? Because planning and controlling functions always coexist or have to exist together as one functions depending on the other. So the controlling functions uh, like compares actual performance with the planned performance, and if there is no planned performance, then obviously controlling managers will not be able to know whether the actual performance is good or not, whether it's progressive or not. So the base of comparison or the the base or the yardstick to check is given by the planning to controlling functions. And on the other hand, the planning functions are also dependent on controlling functions, as because plans are not only made on papers, but these have to be followed and implemented. Once plans are made, if it is not implemented, then you'll not know the result. So that is why the plan should be followed and implemented in the organizations. So the controlling functions make sure that everybody follows the plan very strictly, and continuous monitoring and also check in controlling the functions make it possible that everyone follows the plan accordingly. So both the functions are interlinked and interdependent, as for a successful executions of both the functions, planning and controlling must support each other. Like for example, if the workers have produced 800 units, the manager can know whether it is the adequate or not only when there is a standard productions set up by the planners. So the base of the comparison comes from the planning only. So on the other hand, if the standard target is 1000 units, then the controlling managers makes sure that there is an improvement in the performance and the employees achieve the set target. So why planning and controlling both are backward and forward looking? Why they are backward and forward looking? Now let us understand the relations between them. So controlling is backward looking because like a post-mortem of past activities. The managers obviously they have to look back to the previous year's performance. They have to look for the past performances to find out its deviations from the standard planning from standard and planning is also backward looking because planning is guided by the past experiences so that they don't want to repeat the same mistakes again, and feedbacks reports of controlling functions. So planning is forward looking because plans are prepared for the future, as it involves looking in advance and making policies for maximum utilizations of resources in the future so that they can utilize the resources in a limited manner. So controlling is also forward looking because controlling does not end only by the comparing the past performance with the standard or the present. It involves finding the reasons for deviations and suggest the measures so that these deviations do not occur in the future, so that they don't repeat the same thing in the future. So this statement that planning is forward looking and controlling is backward looking is only partially correct, as planning and controlling they are both forward looking as well as the backward looking. Now we'll see why planning is prescriptive whereas controlling is evaluative. Why? Because planning is basically an intellectual process, okay, which involves a lot of thinking, comparison to prescribe a particular course of actions for achieving its objectives. So whereas controlling on the other hand evaluates or check whether the desired causes of actions are followed properly or not. So lastly, we can also conclude by saying that planning and controlling cannot be separated. So these two are supplementary functions which supports each other for a successful implementations or executions of both the functions for achieving a desired goals. So planning makes controlling effective and efficient, controlling involves whereas the controlling, what it does is it improves future planning.